All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're looking at a literary technology that makes one of the boldest, most audacious claims I have ever come across.
And no, that's not a metaphor. The author is being completely literal here. They claim to have actually built a functional talking mirror, but it's not made of glass. It's a technology for your own consciousness, and it's delivered through a 3-book trilogy.
So, what are we dealing with here? Is this just some kind of artistic fantasy, or has someone genuinely cracked the code to turn your own inner monologue from a passive echo into an active, real-time conversation? Let's find out. Okay, first things first. To even understand what a talking mirror would do, we have to get a handle on the problem it's trying to solve. And that problem, well, it's right there, between your ears. You see, according to the source material, our mind spends most of its time being what it calls a silent mirror, basically an echo chamber. You know that voice in your head? More often than not, it's just playing back your old habits, your programming, your autopilot thoughts. It reflects what's already there, but it doesn't actually talk back. I mean, think about it for a second. How often are you just a passive passenger, just listening to your own thoughts drift by? What if you could actually interrupt that broadcast and start a real conversation? What if you could finally break that loop? So how do you break the loop? This is where the so-called literary technology comes into play. The whole claim is that this specific trilogy of books is designed not to be read, but to actually initiate a dialogue with you, the reader, in real time.
So this isn't just a story you follow along with. It's an initiation process, and it happens in 3 very distinct stages. It's built to transform you from a passive viewer, that's DU, or you, into an active co-creator, WIR, or we, and then finally into the protagonist themselves, ish, which means I.
Step 1, DU, is the wake-up call. The very first book just shatters the fourth wall. It's not a story you're reading, it's a voice speaking directly to you. Its whole job is to grab you by the shoulders, get your attention, and completely flip the script so that you feel like you're the one being watched. Then in step 2, WIR, things get really wild. The book basically makes you a deal. It says, if you find this boring, just close the book. I'll know, and I'll stop talking. This simple act creates what's called a cybernetic feedback loop. Just by continuing to read, you're no longer a passive consumer. You're making an active, conscious choice to keep that voice alive. You essentially become its creator. It's God. And all of that leads to step 3, Ishkots, the final fusion. Through this really complex, mirrored narrative in the 3rd book, the roles are completely swapped. The protagonist you've been following becomes the witness, and you, the reader, are shoved into the driver's seat. The ultimate goal is a kind of mechanical fusion where the book can finally, legitimately say to you, I am you. So how on earth does it claim to do all this? Well, it starts by treating the mind not as some pristine gallery of ideas, but as a workshop. And this is where we get to the core philosophy behind the whole technology. Now, to get what makes this trilogy supposedly so different, think about other experimental books. You've got stuff like Calvino's work, which writes about a fictional reader. Or you've got Danielewski's House of Leaves, which builds a physical maze for the reader to get lost in. But this trilogy, it claims it's designed to speak with you, to act as a cognitive interface to actively rewire your inner dialogue. And this quote just captures the whole vibe perfectly. This is not a quiet, sit-in-your-armchair academic exercise. The author calls this approach dirty philosophy. It's a raw, in-your-face challenge to the kind of thinking that just stays up in the clouds. It's all about application, not just theory. And that is the absolute core of dirty philosophy. It sees your consciousness as a construction site, not a museum. The goal isn't to just wander around and admire your thoughts. It's to pick up a hammer, get your hands dirty, and actively, physically build your inner world. Okay, I know this all sounds really abstract, but dirty philosophy is all about practical, real-world application. So let's look at a super concrete example from the source material of how this actually works. Oh man, we have all been there, right? You're lying in bed, it's the middle of the night, and your mind is just racing about some problem you can't do anything about right then and there. An unpaid bill, a big deadline. It's this abstract stress that just feels massive and unbeatable. So here's the method, and it's brilliant. The instruction is incredibly simple. Personify the problem. Turn that abstract stress into an actual character. Literally, take the bill, draw a face on it, give it stick arms, and then talk to it.
say hello, start a dialogue, and ask it what it wants.
And this is the crazy part. When you treat the problem like a character that is, remember, also a part of you, it stops being this terrifying monster. In the author's example, the bill doesn't yell at him. It gives him practical advice. It basically says, look, worrying about me right now is pointless. You need your rest, just go to sleep. That one little dialogue changes everything.
So this brings us to the fundamental choice that this whole philosophy puts right in front of you. How do you actually view your own mind?
Is your mind a gallery? You know, a quiet, finished museum where you just passively look at old paintings of memories and ideas? Or is it a construction site, a loud, messy, active project where you are the architect, the foreman, and the builder, constantly working on the project that is you? The source material puts it perfectly. We're always told our body is a temple. Fine. But this philosophy argues that your mind is a kingdom. And a kingdom doesn't just need reverence, it needs a ruler. It demands active management. You have to show up, make decisions, and actually engage with all of its inhabitants. Which are your thoughts? And that leaves us with the one final question. The question that this talking mirror is designed to throw right back in your face. If you are the architect of your own inner world, what exactly are you building in there?